Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and welcome to the UBC Extended Learning's Cybersecurity Programs Information Session. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we're gathered today on the traditional ancestral unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh people. Let me begin by showing you the agenda for today's session. We will start with some housekeeping tips, followed by the introductions of our speakers, then learn the various aspects of the program. After the presentation, our experts will also answer your questions during the Q&A. For user experience, we have muted your mic. Your audio and video, and for security reasons, chat feature is turned off. We also recommend that you go to the view options located on the top right of your screen, click the arrow on the drop-down box, and choose side-by-side option. This will allow you to see the presentation of the speaker. You can also, at any time during the presentation, change from speaker view or gallery view for your preference. We will be managing the Q&A using slido.com. To answer questions, open a new tab in your browser or a second device and type slido.com and enter event code UBC Cyber. We plan to post, we are recording the session. So for those of you who have to leave the session early, the recording will be posted on UBC's Extended Learning's YouTube channel within the few days of the session. The recording link will also be emailed to all registered participants after the session. Moving on to introductions. My name is Emily Wu, Program Leader at the UBC Extended Learning. I will be moderating today's session. I'm delighted today to be joined by our instructors, Anthony Green, Miriam Aliabadi, and Travis Check, who are all instructors teaching our cybersecurity programs. Miriam is a postdoctoral teaching and research fellow and a sessional lecturer at UBC's Department of Computer Science. She has over 10 years of international industrial experience as an R&D engineer in international companies, and over 4 years of teaching experience in post-secondary institutions. I'll let Miriam say a few words about herself. Hi, Miriam, if you'd like to say a few
Sure.
words about yourself.
Yeah. Hello, Emily. Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here with you guys today. I am currently teaching in computer science, and my experience goes back to the cybersecurity research and education. I have designed, developed, and taught many courses in for the Master of Cybersecurity professional program in the other universities and here at UBC. My specific area of research and teaching is around cybersecurity and cloud computing. And I am very interested in getting the bridge to the industry and get hands-on learning to bring all of this theoretical knowledge into to solving the real world challenges. And that is what I am trying to do in my courses and communication with the students. Hopefully, we will have a great course and we will a great start this semester as well.
I'd like to introduce Travis. Travis has been working in the area of IT and cybersecurity for over 15 years. He teaches software development, ethical hacking, cybersecurity, and data engineering at various schools and businesses, sharing his knowledge while working full-time in the area of solutions and security architecture. I got a message that, hi, Travis, are you here to share a few words about yourself?
I think it's somewhat stable now. Sorry about that, guys. My internet has been going out due to power outages in my neighborhood. Yeah, I've been working in cybersecurity since I was straight out of high school. Whenever I was in elementary school, I actually ended up getting my first suspension due to hacking the school's network. I decided to go legit in my adult life instead of getting myself into trouble. And whenever I retired from the military a few years ago, I decided to make cybersecurity and architecture my passion and my future. And I'm now working as a CTO in an AI company while running my cybersecurity consulting company. That's it for me.
Thank you, Travis. Next, I'd like to invite Anthony. He has pre-recorded a segment with an introduction of himself.
Hello, my name is Anthony Green, and I'm the instructor and course creator for Cloud Security and Attack Prevention Methods new micro certificate from UBC. I am going to be instructing Cloud Security, and I have built out the Attack Prevention Methods course. I have over a decade of high-level experience managing various programs, but I currently spend most of my time at CPABC managing security operations and compliance there. But I've been teaching for almost 5 years now, 3 of them being at UBC for Extended Learning, specifically the Risk Management and Cyber Strategy course. I'm also past president of the ISACA Vancouver chapter, which is the largest security community in Western Canada, and I've recently took up the role as the Western Canada ambassador for the Canadian Cybersecurity Cluster in SecAm. I'm looking forward to meeting you all throughout the courses.
Now, we would love to learn a little bit about our participants today. To participate in the poll, please visit slido.com and enter event code CYBER. The first poll question we have is, what industry are you working in? Please type in your answer in Slido. Great, I see we have a few folks from IT, hospitality, education, finance. Thank you. Next, can you share with us what title do you hold in your company? This is very helpful information for our speakers today because next I'll have Anthony sharing a little bit about examples of cybersecurity roles and adjacent roles, as well as the demand for cybersecurity profession if you're thinking to upskill or transition.
Cybersecurity currently is one of the most in-demand professions there is. And the reason is because currently cyber attacks happen every 39 seconds. So somebody over the world is getting not just attacked, but breached every 40 seconds it's happening. Cybercrime was named the top cyber threat for Canadians by the National Cyber Threat Assessment. And 73% of organizations increased their cybersecurity resources just this year. Now, IBM also came out with a study that showed that the average cost of a data breach to Canadians, to a Canadian company, is $6.93 million. And organizations are quickly finding out that it's much cheaper to hire a cybersecurity team and get strong technology than pay that $6.93 million. The other thing is there's a lack of cybersecurity professionals. If you look at ISC2, ISACA, different ones, different associations, cybersecurity associations come out with different industry reports, but all of them are saying the same thing. The skills gap is growing, AKA more organizations are looking for cybersecurity people, but there aren't enough people to fill in those roles. The cool thing about cybersecurity is not many cybersecurity people go directly into cybersecurity from school or as their first job. Most cybersecurity people in the industry, and especially the ones that I know, actually came from cyber adjacent roles. So for example, a chief information officer or a corporate security officer, even sometimes chief technical officers, chief technology officer, they end up the ones transitioning to a CISO role. An enterprise architect can transition to a security architect, right? A lot of times the technical support specialist or network administrator will transition into a security analyst role. The cool thing about cybersecurity is a lot of the experience that you have in IT or technology is actually directly transferable to cybersecurity. Most of you that are already in the field have actually done cybersecurity in one way or another. You just may not know necessarily that it was part of cybersecurity because you may not have that function within your organization. And that's actually where this program shines the most light. Is we're not here to go from 0 to 1 into cyber, but for those of you that do have any professional experience in corporate or technology or IT, this program will help upskill you to be able to get into cybersecurity. And for those of you already in cybersecurity, this can round out several gaps that you may have. As I said, different people come from different ways into cybersecurity. And so this new program, the idea is that it will help you understand how you can transfer the skills that you have and start speaking the cybersecurity language. So cloud security is more about defense, and attack prevention methods is about attacking. As I mentioned, once you are, here's a bunch of roles that cybersecurity analysts can go to, and sometimes many of those roles move towards cybersecurity analysts depending on which organization you are. But here's a little graph of the most related to least related roles to cybersecurity. But as you'll see, all of them are within that first circle. As you can see, even a Windows administrator, a Windows administrator spends a lot of time hardening Windows, making sure it's more secure. Well, guess what? That's actually something a cybersecurity analyst would do as well, all the way to a security manager, where a security manager would be the next level after, maybe half a decade of experience for a cybersecurity analyst, where a manager goes towards the strategy area. But both ways, you need to understand the technical side, but also the strategy side. And that's where we talk about. We touch on the technical side. You don't need to be very technical to take these courses, but we are really trying to push the strategy side of cybersecurity. Now, the ethical hacking certification does get quite technical and actually puts you directly with a certificate that allows you to get that first cybersecurity job, or even more of an attacker, red teaming penetration test job. But the micro-credential in cloud security and attack prevention methods is more along the lines of defense and how attackers attack and how to secure your cloud. The ISACA State of Security report recently came out and said the number 2 skills gap in cybersecurity is cloud computing. So many people in cyber don't actually have an understanding or core understanding of how cloud computing works, and they end up using that same infrastructure that they do for their on-prem system in the cloud, which doesn't necessarily work. And that's why we came out with this course.
Thank you for that introduction. That was really helpful, Anthony. Now I'd like to give a quick overview of our cybersecurity programs offering. We have now 2 micro-certificate programs, UBC micro-certificate in cybersecurity strategy and risk management, and micro-certificate in cloud security and cyber attack prevention methods, which is a new, brand new micro-certificate program. And we also have ethical hacking certification training program. All courses are 100% online, with weekly 1.5 to 2 hours live online sessions with an instructor. Sessions are recorded so you can refer back to them. The 2 micro certificates are approved by UBC Senate and they're developed by industry experts with input from UBC faculty and UBC IT leadership. Each of the micro certificate consists of 2 courses, and each course is 4 weeks long. Learners are expected to spend a minimum of 5 to 7 hours per week for a total of 55 hours each course. And we offer each program twice a year. Ethical Hacking Certification Program is a rigorous 4-month program that uses EC Council's curriculum. EC Council is the world's largest cybersecurity technical certification body. Those registered in our ethical hacking course will have access to EC Council's ebooks, labs, exam prep, video, practice exam voucher, and the exam voucher to take the certification exam. The course is 4 months in length with weekly 2-hour live sessions with instructor Travis. The cost is $3,200 for the program. And if you register before October 11th, you'll save to the $205. I'll go more in depth about the new micro certificate, cloud security and cyber attack prevention methods. There are 2 courses in that micro certificate: Cloud Security Fundamentals, taught by Anthony Green, and Defending Against the Attacker's Mindset, taught by Miriam. Each course functions as a standalone and can be taken in any order. Now I would like to have Anthony speaking about the first course.
All right, now let's get to the fun part. So for the Cloud Security and Attack Prevention Methods course, let's start with the Cloud Security Fundamentals course. So in this course, our goal is to upskill you from being a technician or a technology leader to having a good understanding of what the cloud looks like, but also the basics of securing the cloud. So not only how do I move to the cloud, but how do I securely move to that cloud? Or if I'm already on the cloud, how do I increase my security posture? So for the first week, we start off with the core concepts of the cloud. We talk about the fundamentals of cloud computing and cloud security. So this we do by exploring the cloud shared responsibility model, and we learn about some basics about cybersecurity, specifically confidentiality, integrity, and availability within the business context. For every week, we do have 2 assignments and 1 quiz. So one assignment in the first week, for example, we actually analyze the different cloud shared responsibility models and figure out what would be best for our organization. In the second week, we dive deep into access control, so authentication and authorization. These were mostly focusing on access control mechanisms within the cloud environment, but a lot of that we can take back to our on-premise environment, our private cloud environment, our community cloud environment. But basically for this week, we are designing identity and access management strategy for your cloud migration. And then we also compare and analyze role-based access control to attribute-based access controls. Next, we move on to week 3, which is one of my favorite weeks, which is security tooling and operations. So here we not only explore cloud and not only cloud tools, but we also explore network security tools to help you protect your hybrid environment. So we actually go over lots of different tools such as firewalls, EDRs, all that fun stuff. And we go actually a little bit into the history of how they came to where they are now. So the evolution of some of those tools, how antivirus, for example, evolved into EDR. But a big focus of this week will be to learn and practice how to triage vulnerabilities. Not all vulnerabilities are the same, and a lot of organizations look at them like they're the same. So we help identify which ones are critical and how to identify them. Then we also explore different roles and responsibilities within a security operations center and a security team. So who's supposed to do what, and we go quite deep into what an analyst does versus a manager. Lastly, week 4, we talk about misconfigurations and compliance in the cloud. So cloud compliance standards and frameworks and how to avoid misconfigurations. Most attacks in the cloud are not because somebody broke into the cloud, but because somebody misconfigured their cloud and the attackers were able to access a database that's wide open on the internet. So we actually talk about different case studies about how this has happened in the past so that we can avoid it in the future. And we analyze different industry standards and regulations so that you know what your baseline needs to be for your cloud deployment. We also learn about impact on non-compliance on organizations. So we actually go through a case study where, hey, if you are not compliant, so for example, if you have a misconfiguration that it was easy to catch, an attacker breaks in, and a regulatory standards end up finding you, we end up talking about what that looks like. We do a case study and an analysis so that that doesn't happen to your own organization.
Thank you, Anthony. Next, I'd like to ask Miriam to speak about her course, Defending Against the Attacker's Mindset course.
Sure, thank you, Emily. So yeah, I'm going to talk about the defending against the attacker's mindset. First of all, I would like to bring up what this course is not all about. So we are not going to learn about how to hack the systems or the organization. We are just going to learn to get into the attacker's brain, learn the mindset, learn the strategies, tactics that attackers try to come up with when they are launching attack against the organization. And then with this knowledge, we would be able to provide a better defense. So in the first week of the classes, we are going to cover the topic of red teaming and attackers' methodology. So basically, the red team or attackers are not randomly attack the system or organization. They are using a specific methodologies for penetrating into the system. So we will start with the fundamental concepts of red teaming, and we will analyze the major data breaches and their importance, and also learn about the fundamental cyber threats and how to protect against them. The second week is about communication with attackers. In this week, we specifically talk about penetration testers. Basically, most organizations provide some sorts of regulatory or compliance policies that enforces to having penetration testing at least once a year. So we want to make sure that we are going to do the penetration testing, and the way that we are doing so is using the same language, which is aligned with the policies and regulations of the organization. As a second topic, we are going to learn about the reconnaissance, which is the first step toward launching any type of attack. This is the first thing that attackers or red team do. We will learn about different types of reconnaissance, like passive and active, and we will analyze which one will be useful the most. In the third week, we will learn about the attacker's tool set. Again, here, since we are not going to actually hack anything or learn how to hack, we are going to actually learn about how to identify these tool set, because at the end of the day, these tool sets are required to block the attackers. So in order to do that, we are going to learn a specific attacker's framework and do a deep analysis on the attack. The attacker framework that we are going to learn about is MITRE, which is a kind of industry standard framework that covers all the required steps from reconnaissance all the way toward exfiltration. We will make sure that there is a great understanding of all of these steps. If you want to play the role of attacker, what would you do and what the attacker typically does? And finally, in the last week, in the week 4, we are going to talk about the bug bounty and secure software development. More particularly, we will go over the ethics of bug bounty and how we would be able to secure the software development. We will pretend that we are attackers and we are going to find a security hole or a set of security holes in the system or in the organization and try to exploit them. So you are going to demonstrate how the security can be integrated into the software development lifecycle. Each of the students would need to choose one component of the software development phases and try to integrate security within that phase or that component as a case study and report on them at the end of the course. In terms of the assessment, we are going to have knowledge tests and reflections in terms of a quiz, weekly quizzes, and also every week we will have 2 assignments that students need to do to get their hand dirty into the actual topics that have been covered within that week. So as I said again, the overall goal and objective of this course is just learning about the attacker's mindset, attackers' strategies, tactics, and methodologies, and then try to provide a better defense. Yeah, I guess it would be a great way, a great course for helping the professionals. If you are a professional which is not working necessarily in the cybersecurity industry, this course would be beneficial in the sense that help you to pivot the cybersecurity into your organization and act as a support analyst for cybersecurity. And if you are a cybersecurity professional, this course will be beneficial in terms of rounding up your amount around the blue teams and red teams, and how we would be able to help the blue team as a game changer to come up with a better the defensive mechanism proactively against different tactics that red team usually makes. And yeah, I guess that's all from me. And I'm hopeful to see some of you late November in the course. Thank you so much. And over to you, Emily.
I'd like to invite Travis to speak about the new ethical hacking certification training that we offer.
Okay, so I know that looks extremely intimidating whenever you see 16 weeks of rigorous training, but trust me, it really isn't that intense in terms of how it's spread out. We're going to walk you through the introduction to ethical hacking, where we're going to cover things like policies, procedures, how to be safe as an ethical hacker, including setting up a statement of work and not allowing for scope creep, because if you do creep a little too far right or left, it can hold you liable. So we're going to walk you through how to actually protect yourself as an ethical hacker whenever you're doing things like penetration testing and vulnerability assessments. Then we're going to go over some OSINT in our footprinting and reconnaissance, and then move on over to scanning and enumerating networks, where we're looking for things like services on a computer that might be vulnerable, ports that should be blocked but aren't. And then we're going to break it on down with some vulnerability assessments and analysis, where we're looking for vulnerable applications, services within a network, as well as on host systems. And then we're going to teach you how to actually exploit some of those vulnerabilities. And we're going to teach you about the difference between a risk, a threat, and a vulnerability. But this is all going to be based off of the practical aspects of becoming an ethical hacker, where we're going to use tools like Burp Suite, Wireshark, and Metasploitable Framework in order to conduct these analysis, so that you can not only protect yourself, but protect organizations and properly consult and secure them. Whenever we finish it up, we do cover cloud computing because, as other people alluded to, or other teammates alluded to, cloud computing has been in the past one of those very ambiguous and not very, how do I say this? Very common skills within ethical hackers or cybersecurity researchers. And then we hit up some cryptography there as well. You're going to finish it with an actual research essay where you're going to do a case study. And then we're going to prep you for that actual certification exam where you can become a certified ethical hacker. And then if you really want to, you can end up mastering it by doing the practical exam. So there's two different exams, a written exam, which is about 4 hours long, and then there's a practical exam, which can take up to 6 hours. You get both of those, you're a master certified ethical hacker, which allows you to actually teach the course in the future as well. That's it for me.
Thank you, Travis. Very intense. Now I'm delighted to share with you that we're joined today by two past students of UBC's cybersecurity programs, named Mary Carmichael and Shadi Goldron. Mary and Shadi both completed UBC Micro Certificate in Cybersecurity Strategy and Risk Management. They will share with us today about their experience in the program and how the experience supported their work today. I'll just say a few words of introduction of each speaker. Mary is an enterprise risk management consultant with over 15 years of experience, specializing in technology risk management and advisory services across various sectors. She is the current president of VISACA's Vancouver chapter, where she provides thought leadership on the impact of generative AI on governance, risk, and compliance. Mary, on to you.
Oh, thank you, Emily, for this opportunity to speak about the cybersecurity and risk management program. So I took this program around, I think, 3 years ago, and I took this program out of curiosity. So by trade, I am a CPA, and through the CPA program, I completed the enterprise risk management program. And enterprise risk is all about the big picture risks that can impact an organization. And I found the last few years with enterprise risk, it has slowly shifted to cybersecurity. So cybersecurity in terms of cloud adoption, cybersecurity just in terms of changing our operating model to be more digital versus manual. So I took the program at UBC just to see how they were approaching teaching cybersecurity and also how they incorporated risk management at a cyber level and how did risk management for cybersecurity moved upwards towards enterprise risk management. So I highly recommend the program. This was my role at ASACA, Vancouver. We're a cybersecurity organization, and one of our big certifications we have here is risk management. So with risk management, it's all about how do you manage uncertainty. And I found with the UBC program, especially with the risk management course, they talk about what are the key questions you ask when you are doing a risk assessment, and depending on the scenario. So are you moving to cloud? Are you looking at implementing Copilot? And based on those initiatives, how do you do a risk assessment? So what are the key questions they ask in terms of what capabilities do we need to be successful? But also, what are some of the unknowns or some of the challenges we may have, especially when it comes to data access or even people's adoption of new technologies? So I found with the risk assessment, it does help you ask those questions in terms of when you're looking at projects, what's required for those projects to be successful. And then from that risk assessment, it leads into a risk register. And that risk register is really what projects need to be successful. So noting for this risk register, we need to have change management, or we need to provide staff with training, or we need to be mindful of this cyber risk. So that risk register gives you a very important tool to manage risk throughout the project, but also that risk register provides you with executive level reporting to your project steering committee. So I found this course gives you the fundamentals. So what is cybersecurity? What are the common attack methods? And from those attack methods, what are some of the controls you can implement to improve or reduce the likelihood of that attack, whether it's policy, staff training, or even your technical controls? And that leads to risk management. So you can show from a risk management point of view how those controls have reduced I guess the opportunity for that cyber attack to occur and also reduce its level of impact. So I found with this course, if you're curious about cybersecurity or risk management, it gives you the fundamentals, it gives you a taste for it. And also, if you choose not to go ahead, actually what UBC offers in this program is transferable. You can use that risk assessment practice for even project management, even for developing your budgets, or even for IT strategy roadmaps, because that risk assessment tool is very flexible. So depending on what you're looking for, the questions that you get taught in this program will help you do a risk assessment even outside of cybersecurity. So I found it's this in terms of the skill sets, it's very applicable, and also it's a tool that we need right now. We need to be asking better questions in terms of how we manage cybersecurity, and the UBC program provides that knowledge to you.
Thank you so much, Mary, and we'll thank you for staying a little bit later for Q&A if folks have any questions that you can chime in as well. Last but not least, I would like to invite Shedi to speak. Shedi is an IT infrastructure systems consultant. He's been working as an IT professional over the last 10 years and has taken several UBC courses to upskill. And share that with me. He shared with me earlier today that the courses really motivated him to get certified as an information technology certified professional. Shadi.
Hi everyone. I'm not sure why the camera doesn't work for now, but let me try one more time. I think it's working. Okay. So hi everyone. I actually had the pleasure to take the course with UBC. Actually took the two courses, and both they have the two different flavors. One of them was regard cybersecurity strategy, and that helped a lot in the design and the roadmap of the cybersecurity postures over the organizations. The second one was the risk management part. I enjoyed a lot because it gave me the tools and the mindset of how to actually get the risk assessment and as Mary said about the risk register and the tool that you how to assess that. And as Emily mentioned, that actually motivated me to finish my certificate with ISACA. And I use that all toward the auditing part, which helped me a lot to with the organizations to be like in the audit part for the all IT systems and improving their cybersecurity posture all over the places.
Thank you, Shadi. Now I will move on to Q&A. To submit your questions, please use slido.com and enter the event code UBC Cyber, and our speakers will take questions.
I could take the first two questions here. So are these courses programs fully online? Yes, they are. They're basically one 2-hour live session a week that is recorded, and the rest is learning materials that you will receive that you would probably review before that session, plus the labs and quizzes are all online. The second question was, what are the start dates and usual class times? For the cloud security course, it'll be 8 a.m., 10 a.m. on Saturdays. But for the others, I'll let Travis and Mariam answer that.
So I guess it will be between 6 to 8. The course that is about defending against the attacker's mindset will be run on 6 to 8 p.m. in 4 different weeks, right?
All right. Are there any grants available? There is a workforce grant if you go with your employer. So your employer, there's I believe, a grant option that you can work with your employer where they can provide up to $10,000 in education. Emily, do we have a link to that information? I know we used to in our other sessions.
Sorry, which grant are you referring to?
I think it's the Canadian Workforce Grant, something like that. It's for the companies that I think they get up to 10K a year or every 2 years to do professional development for their employees. We used to have a QR code with a link to it.
I can send that to the participants after the session. I don't have it with me right now.
Perfect. Okay, sounds good. Two, when is this program rolled out? How's this comparable with other programs offered by other universities and vendors? This program is being rolled out starting, the cloud security course is starting in the next couple of weeks. It's comparable. Well, if you look at vendors, the nice thing is UBC is a post-secondary. And so you get, by doing this program, you get a micro credential from an accredited post-secondary, and UBC is a top 40 post-secondary in the world globally ranking. So meaning that the quality of the instructors, the quality of the content is generally quite high compared to a lot of the others, especially as we've seen many different private colleges try to create their own programs, just throwing a bunch of stuff together. Drew? I have zero experience in the IT field. Do you recommend a prerequisites course to start before taking your courses? The courses are actually you do not need IT experience. You do not need IT experience, but it does help get you going quicker. So without IT experience, you get kind of the fundamentals and you can get going, but you will still have to, if you want a job in cybersecurity, this is kind of the stepping stone. You figure out what cybersecurity is, and then you have to continue going forward. Like Shadi, he mentioned that he started here and it said, hey, and he realized, hey, I actually want to get the certification, got certified, and is now doing more auditing type of work. I have a diploma in CIS and I'm looking to get my degree. Is there a cybersecurity degree program or something similar? No, we only have the micro credentials. But if I would say that it's very, very supplementary to your degree. So if you have a degree plus this micro credential, there aren't many cybersecurity degrees out there. So having something like this as a supplement does help to show employers that you've been trying to specialize in cyber. Would you consider the two UBC micro certificate courses prerequisites for the ethical hacking course? No, they are not prerequisites for the ethical hacking course. However, they definitely would not hurt. The ethical hacking course, the thing with it is the less experience you have, the harder you have to try, but either way, you can succeed. So it's all about how much effort you're willing to put in. And Travis, you can correct me if I'm wrong there.
Oh, you are 100% correct. So there are things that we skim across whenever it comes to like the TCP/IP model, the OSI model, which you're not going to get really hammered in depth through the certified ethical course ethical hacking course, because we're more focused on the hacking aspect and not the networking and the base understanding or fundamentals of how systems work and interact. We're more on the exploitation side. So if you don't have a background in IT or networking, brushing up on it, going on something like Try Hack Me and doing some of their very, very basic networking courses would help you once you start doing the certified ethical hacker training. In terms of the minimum hardware requirements, there really aren't any. I do recommend, though, if you are doing ethical hacking, that you do have a decent Windows-based system, because I also do show people how to set up their own home lab for penetration testing, which allows you to grow beyond the basics learned in the course. So if you are really interested in hacking, having a really decent system will help you.
Actually, Travis, can you touch on that a bit more? One of the questions is hardware prerequisites. So when you say a decent system, like what is the minimum that they need in order to be able to start to be able to succeed in your course? And you know, like for example, I would assume something with 4 gigs of RAM probably would be a little bit painful to do the course with.
Just from personal experience, anybody rocking less than 16 gigs of RAM tends to suffer. Having like an i3 equivalent is very, very sluggish, but you can make it by. I do recommend something like an i7 or AMD equivalent with, I'd say 11th gen or higher probably would be okay. I'm actually sporting an 11th gen i9. And 16 to 32 gigs of RAM, I do recommend, again, especially if you're wanting to set up a home lab, but you can get away with 8. I did find a lot of students that were on the bare minimum requirements had trouble keeping up with the rest of the class when we were doing practical demonstrations. I myself running 128 gigs of RAM on my main rig with that i9 processor, but I've had students rocking 24 to 32 gigs, no problem, on an i7. I know that's a little bit ambiguous, but bare minimum an i3 with 8 gigs of RAM, maximum, well, whatever you can sport.
Next question,
Right, I can.
what
Oh,
certification would be easier after those micro certifications? It's related to what we were talking about just earlier.
yeah, so I need to give a little bit of context here. So there's I'm not sure. Okay, so yeah, the CISM or CISSP. So the CISSP is really, really long, but an inch deep. We go more into detail on cloud than the CISSP and on attacking than CISSP. The CSIM would be closer to the other program that we have, which is risk management and cyber strategy. But I would say if I had to pick between those two, it would be the CISSP. But it's the CISS. It would be like maybe 10% of the CISSP because the CISSP it's a whole different level of, you know, it's very long but very, very short. So it touches on every single thing, but not in depth. For us, we're really trying to ensure that we can secure your cloud and you understand the attackers' methodologies and how they attack, which is not something that is taught much on the CSSP side. So for someone, okay, so actually there's 2 questions here about grants. Maybe those are more for you, Emily. Is there any? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we'll start with these ones first, and then I'll tackle the grants and the financial aid ones.
Okay. So for someone working in the banking finance, I see my job posting for cybersecurity but requires SIEM and CSSP. Will any of these 3 certificates meet those requirements? It's hard to say because with these, a lot of times for these job postings, the HR team doesn't necessarily know what these certificates are. They just know that, hey, these are well-known certificates. So I can't say will it be enough or not, but what I can say is that having a cybersecurity micro certificate from UBC is gonna look good on an HR resume, whether it fits the requirements that they will have for CISSP or SIEM. And SIEM, by the way, that's not a certificate, that's a tool. But for CISSP, I don't know if it would hit that requirement, but it definitely would look good on a resume. And all 3 of these would be, I would say, for certificates, the last one, the ethical hacking one, would be the closest because you don't only get the UBC microcert, but you also get the CEH certificate as well. So it's kind of a 2-in-1, but it's more for attacking, risk defending.
Next one I have, what job opportunities are there for ethical hackers? Travis?
So I took the opportunity to start up my own consulting company or pivot my consulting company into doing security audits, vulnerability assessments, both physical and digital security. A lot of my friends who are certified ethical hackers either work in defense because it's one of the federal government's recognized ethical hacking certifications, honestly, one of the most highly regarded in terms of governments and defense. So, guys in the military are qualified certified ethical hacker, CSIS and CSE, as well as the RCMP. So, if you're looking for a government job, that's one of the certifications they do look for. One of my friends that works over for one of the largest banks in Canada. I'm not going to say who it is because I don't want to out him, but he also manages a bunch of ethical hackers with the CEH certification for pen testing their systems, both physical and digital security as well. So you're looking for offensive security jobs or jobs posted with the certified ethical hacker certification. Like I said, defense is really big and government is really big for especially this certification.
And one thing I just want to add is that there are other hacking certifications and some that are considered more difficult, but the CEH is still the number one where is the requirement. That like you can have a more difficult certification and still get less job interviews or job opportunities if you don't have the CEH, because the CEH is the most well known by far, and it's the one that's recognized by government to be the the ethical hacking certificate. So it is probably one of the best out there for jobs.
Another question, if I'm over 40 years old, is it too late to transition to cybersecurity jobs? Any panelists, feel free to chime in.
Yeah, 100%. So no, it definitely is not too late. If you're over 40 years old, that means you already have experience in something else. And like what I mentioned earlier, most people in the cybersecurity field are transitioning from something else. I recently talked to a guy that was in a network administrator his whole life, and 16, 17 years of or 19 years started at like a store, moved up to sysadmin, all that type of stuff, was a network admin, and then said, hey, I actually want to do security. Well, because he's had so much overlap with security over the years, it was very, very easy for him to transition. He just needed to gain the right skills. He just needed to know which parts of what he was doing is actually security. And also, the other thing is right now, security changes all day, every couple of weeks, every couple of months, every year. And so, it's the cloud hasn't been, that's if you were working with the cloud 10 years ago, you're probably one of the top in the industry right now. Even if you're 40, you can go start working with this thing called Kubernetes and Docker. And within 2 to 3 years, you learn how to do that. You learn how to secure that, and you will be like in the top 5% of people that do that. There's just so much going on all the time that you're never that far behind. I like to say, you're never more than 3 years behind, even whenever you start cybersecurity. Now, the
And
problem becomes when you don't keep up to date.
I'd just like to add to that too. Some of the best pen testers I've worked with came from other industries because they understand the business process. So they've worked a full job. They're 40 plus. One of my favorite pen testers is actually 55 years old, and he retired from the military, worked in administration, but understands that administrative process. So he's able to actually understand systems a lot better. Some of the young guys that got into IT or computer science that are very theoretical strong and know a lot of the new stuff, but don't understand these legacy systems, how the business process works. So whenever it comes to doing security audits, vulnerability assessments, or understanding the underlying business processes that have led to it, they don't have that experience that you would have.
And
Great, I agree 100%.
yeah, and we have two similar questions. How are these courses compare to courses offered by other universities or ones offered on Coursera?
Yeah, so I mean, Coursera, for example, is you don't get that live aspect as much as you do here. And for Coursera, the bar to become a Coursera instructor is, I think, lower than becoming a UBC instructor or professor. Plus, at UBC, UBC is also a recognized institute. So if you have a Coursera course, that's not necessarily something that you would put on your resume. That's more for you to, okay, great, I did some learning. But with something like UBC micro-credential, you can actually put that on your resume and feel proud of it. And at the same time, you get these 2 hours a week live sessions with your instructors where you can ask them anything. And a lot of times what I find is a lot of these students end up coming back and start coming to cybersecurity events. And it's a connection that you build with your instructor that you don't normally get with Coursera. And if there is live sessions with Coursera, I think there's some courses that do. The instructor is all over the world. You'll never meet him in person. And also one of my favorite things about this course is that most people are in BC. While there are some, we've had some from Africa, we've had some from Seattle, all over the world, but a lot of people are from BC, and they end up working together in some way. They connect with each other on LinkedIn. They start seeing each other at different events, and you start building your actual network of cybersecurity professionals because you're all starting from the same spot. And that's not something you can get with Coursera. Other post-secondaries, I've seen some of their courses. That's why I work with UBC, and it depends on which ones. I mean, there's some that are better than others, but there's a whole bunch that right now they're just slapping cybersecurity on and trying to charge a whole bunch of money.
Thank you,
I
Anthony.
won't name names.
Thank you. We're close to the end of the session, and I know we have a few questions related to the fees, so I'm just bringing back to the slide. Can folks see my PowerPoint? No? Okay, I'm gonna share again. So the fees again for each of the micro certificate course is $950 per course, so $1,900 for each micro certificate. The ethical hacking is $3,200 for the program. In terms of grants or scholarship, we don't offer scholarship or grants at this moment, but there are other fundings available that you can apply through your financial institutions. And depending on your job situation, there might be other sources of funding available. I would like to move to the end here. All right. So thank you everybody for participating. I have the last poll, where when do you hope to register for a cybersecurity program? So it looks like we have courses starting. Ethical hacking starts in 2 weeks, and the first cloud fundamentals course starts next week. You can still register, so please register as soon as you can for courses in the fall. Otherwise, we have other second offerings in January. Thank you so much for everybody joining us today. If you have further questions, please contact us by email or by phone, and we're happy to answer your specific questions, and I can direct your questions to our instructors as well. Again, thank you, and thank you for all our panelists and speakers that are joining us.
Thank you, everyone.